In this video, I'll be explaining how to use the table saws in the LWHS wood shop. Our table saw is used mostly for rip cuts, so cuts going along the grain of the wood. You can also make cross cuts, so cuts going against the grain of the wood. The table saw is also used for making angled cuts, both horizontally angled cuts, called miter cuts, which you would use a miter gauge or jig for, and vertically angled cuts, as shown here, called beveled cuts. How to use a jig and a miter gauge is not shown in this video, but Mr. Fall or another woodshop teacher will definitely show you how. Cross cuts are also not shown in this video because you should try to default to using the miter saw for cross cuts, but ask the teachers if you need to use the table saw for cross cuts instead. As always, these videos are meant to be used as a reminder for how to use the machines, and used in addition to an LWHS woodshop teacher teaching you. Make sure to follow the safety rules of the woodshop, wearing a safety helmet, pants and not shorts, tying up hair if it's longer than shoulder length, and asking the teacher before using each machine. To start, you'll set the fence to the correct width. Measure out the width you want to cut. In this case, I'll be cutting a piece to be 4 inches wide. Unlock the fence by pulling up on the red handle. Then slide it along the track until the red line on the right side of the guide lines up with the correct ruler measurement. Make sure to push down on the red handle again to lock into place. I now have 4 inches between the fence and the blade. Next, you'll raise the blade to the same height as the wood. You'll use the handle on the front of the machine, starting by unscrewing the knob in the middle, then rotating the handle until the blade is the height you want. You want the blade to be at least as high as the plank, but you also don't want too much blade exposed, in case your hand accidentally hits the blade. So the closer you keep the height of the blade to the height of the plank, the better. Here, I have about 1/8 of an inch of the blade above the wood. Don't forget to rescrew the knob to tighten it. If you're making a perpendicular cut, you'll want to keep the blade vertical like it is. However, if you want to make a beveled cut, where the blade is angled so the top side of the plank is a different width than the bottom side of the plank, you'll want to change the angle of the blade. To do this, use the handle on the left side of the machine and watch the curved gray ruler that's on the front of the machine to tell what your angle is. Like before, unscrew the knob in the middle, then turn the handle, watching the gauge on the front. I'm turning the blade about 30 degrees here. Again, don't forget to tighten the knob. With the LWHS table saws, you usually want to keep the plastic guard and splitter in place. However, for some specialized cuts, you need to take out the guard and splitter, and sometimes the plastic guard won't be there and you'll need to put it back in. To switch the parts out, start by taking off the red throat plate by pulling up on the metal handle. To the right, there's a handle that you pull up, which releases the guard and splitter. Take both guard and splitter out, they'll be attached, and replace it with a splitter with no guard attached, or vice versa if you're putting in the guard and splitter. You can find these parts in the cabinet above the brooms and brushes to the right of the big wooden tool cabinet. Remember to push the handle down to tighten again, and replace the throat plate. Now, to review everything, make sure you have your fence locked in the correct width, the height of the blade just slightly above the wood, the correct angle of the blade, and all knobs tightened. Don't forget the safety rules of the woodshop, especially wearing the safety helmet. You'll start by turning on the machine by pulling the red handle on the front of the machine. This handle will also be what you push in to turn it off. Call out, "cutting," so other students in the shop know you're about to use the saw. Place your wood against the fence on the right side, and place your right hand near the fence, pushing the wood down and keeping it against the fence. Start pushing the plank through the table saw. Use your left hand on the back of the plank to push the wood through. Keep your right hand closer to the fence than the blade, and try to keep it near yourself, not passing the blade. Once you get to the end of the plank and you're about to finish the cut, take your left hand off the back of the wood and only push the wood through with your right hand. If your wood is less than 5 or 6 inches, you'll want to use a push block, as shown here, to push your wood through at the end. This way, your fingers aren't too close to the blade. Turn off the machine by hitting the red button on the front that you pulled to turn it on. Wait for the machine to stop spinning before picking up your wood. Another thing to keep in mind is something called kickback. I go into it a bit in the miter saw tutorial, but there are a few different kinds of kickback, especially depending on the machine. The main thing to look out for with a table saw is the wood that you cut getting caught on the saw again after the cut, and then thrown back at you really, really fast because of the spinning saw blade. To prevent this, make sure to always use a guard or a splitter/riving knife, the metal thing by the back of the blade. Remember to push the wood all the way through to the very back of the table when you make your cut, and always stand to the right side of the blade, so if the wood shoots back, it will shoot back into empty space and not into you. Remember to clean up your workspace once you're done and leave the space better than you found it. If you have any questions at all, please ask the woodshop teacher because they'll definitely have the answers you're looking for. I hope this table saw tutorial was helpful, and good luck with your project.